Hi, this is Mr. Millay, and this is your video review for your AP US History class quiz on Friday. You need to know all that stuff we talked about Ben Franklin today, some of the things he invented, some of the things that he said, why he was such an important person in the history of the colonies. First civilized American, all of that. You need to know why Americans weren't at first involved in art and development of artists. You need to know that ministry was the most important profession in colonial society. That was the most honored profession, I should say. Most important would have been agriculture. About 90% of the people lived in rural areas, worked in agriculture. You know who Phyllis Wheatley was. You need to know what the purpose of the Navigation Acts were. You need to know what taverns were like and why they were so important to colonies. It wasn't just for drinking. You know the 4 major cities in the New World and how many of them were in the South. You need to know what were some of the causes and results of the Great Awakening. You need to know why so many more white men could vote in America during this time period. You need to know why there was such a rapid population growth in American society and what the result of that was. You need to know that small farmers made up most of the population. You need to know about the different social groupings of the South that, what do they call it? That aristocratic social groupings, with the top being the big plantation owners and the bottom being slaves, of course, and then small farmers making the majority of the population, then indentured servants, and all the way down. You definitely need to know about triangular trade, what it was, what happened, and what was something that would be carried on each leg of the journey. That's that molasses to rum to slaves. You need to tell me about the Great Awakening, who the people were that we talked about, George Whitefield, Jonathan Edwards, and what kind of speakers they were and how they affected American authors. You know what Arminianism is? You need to know why it was so much harder to become educated in the South. You need to be able to tell me what the Age of Enlightenment was, that reaction to the Great Awakening, what kind of things were discussed, why it was so, against the church. You need to know what deism is, and if you study all of those things, you should be doing fine on the quiz.